When it comes to evidence that Bible's prophecies are true, I don't think anything illustrates it more clearly than the explosion of knowledge we're witnessing firsthand. 2,600 years ago, Daniel the prophet said that in the last days, knowledge will increase. Here's proof. We are living in exponential times. The number of text messages sent and received every day exceeds the total population of the planet. It is estimated that a week's worth of New York Times contains more information than a person was likely to come across in a lifetime in the 18th century. It is estimated that 40 exabytes of unique new information will be generated worldwide this year. That's 4.0 times 10 to the 19th power. That is more than in the previous 5,000 years. To grasp just how amazing these facts are, let's consider the meaning of exponential. It means for something to increase at an ever faster rate. As Mr. Fish reveals in his presentation, knowledge is now increasing at a geometrical rate. Alvin Toffler saw this phenomenon developing. This was the basis of his 1970 bestseller, Future Shock. Toffler defines future shock as the shattering stress and disorientation that we induce in individuals by subjecting them to too much change in too short a time. Toffler predicted millions of ordinary psychologically normal people will face an abrupt collision with the future. Now, what was beginning then is now a reality. We live in much greater stress and anxiety because of the exponential rate of change that is accelerating in our world. The world into which I was born ceased to exist long ago. But at least I had some time to adjust a little better to the phenomenon. The world into which people were born in the year 2000 is already disappearing. It will not exist by 2012. Think for a moment about what this means to you just in the field of everyday technology. We've all experienced the letdown of buying the newest and latest computer in the store, only to find it's obsolete before we finish setting it up. Remember when the record player gave way to the VCR, which gave way to the CD, which gave way to the DVD, which is now giving way to the Blu-ray DVDs? The flash drive and the SD chips will probably be replaced by something newer and faster before I ever learn what they do. There are 2.7 billion searches performed on Google every month. To whom were these questions addressed before Google? Future shock is taking a heavy toll on this terminal generation in many unforeseen ways. I believe the increase in mental illness, drug use, and violent crime can in some measure be the result of the shock and disorientation caused by the inability to adjust and function in a constantly unfamiliar and uncertain atmosphere. I know that apart from the inner anchor to my soul that Jesus Christ gives me, I would sometimes fall apart. These are times when God's Word must be the basis of true reality in the midst of constantly changing reality of this world. As one of my grandsons put it, he said, "Grandpa, when I get where it's at, I'm where it was." You see, even changing fads are hard to keep up with. Just try to figure out what the impact of the following facts will be. There are 3,000 new books published every single day. We've gone from information overload to information explosion. More new information will be generated this year than in the previous 5,000 years. The technical knowledge explosion is governed by Moore's Law, which says computers will get twice as smart every 18 to 24 months. It takes 4 years to get a technical degree. By the time a student graduates, his education is virtually obsolete. At this exponential rate, it's estimated that before too long, the sum total of human knowledge will double every 72 hours. The amount of new technical information is doubling every 2 years. By 2010, it is predicted to double every 72 hours. Third-generation fiber optics have recently been separately tested by NEC and Alcatel that carry 10 trillion bits per second down a single strand of fiber. That is 1,900 CDs or 150 million phone calls every second. It is currently tripling every 6 months and is expected to do so for the next 20 years. Predictions are that by 2013, a supercomputer will be built that exceeds the computation capability of the human brain. By 2049, a $1,000 computer will exceed the computational capabilities of the entire human species. The prophet Daniel was given visions of the world as it would exist in the days leading to the second coming of Christ. The Apostle John was time traveled forward to be an actual eyewitness of the final days of this age, according to the first chapter of Revelation. Unfortunately, both men also suffered from the same communication difficulties. There were no words or concepts in their vocabulary to describe what they witnessed. How could a man of the first century A.D., who has never seen a machine, describe the technical marvels of the 21st century? With his experience and language limited to the materials and objects of the first century, how would he describe a helicopter or an intercontinental ballistic missile with multiple nuclear warheads? This is how he described what he saw. And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared for battle. And on their heads were, as it were, crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of men. And they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions. That's a pretty good description of an attack helicopter, especially for a writer for whom words such as steel, titanium, aircraft, whirling propellers, missile engines, radio, rocket, or bullet had not been coined because they described things that didn't exist. He said it was the outer shape of a locust, yet he sees a man's face through the windshield. The golden crown is the pilot's helmet with its reflective sun visor. Having never seen a whirling propeller, it looked like hair blowing in the wind to him. And look at this. I watched as he opened the sixth seal, and there was a great earthquake. The sun turned black like sackcloth made of goat hair. The whole moon turned blood red, and the stars in the sky fell to the earth as late figs drop from a fig tree when shaken by the strong winds. The sky receded like a scroll rolling up, and every mountain and island was removed from its place. I believe John is seeking to describe from his first century experience a nuclear war. The earth shook violently as from an earthquake. The sun and moon are obscured by the enormous release of nuclear fallout. The word star is literally, in the original Greek, meteors. When warheads from a ballistic missile re-enter the atmosphere, they look like flaming meteors. When a thermonuclear weapon explodes, the overpressure literally rolls the atmosphere back upon itself like a scroll. John was told to write about what he saw. I think he did an inspired job.